Hey guys, I'm back with another video. So I did a video several months ago talking about the reasons why I left Canada, and I basically stated four or five of them. I'll do a little recap. So the ones that I did was cost of living. What was a few other ones? Weather, um, healthcare, as well as food quality. Those are the main ones that I talked about. I didn't envision doing a part two, but I missed quite a few important ones. And I also spoke to some friends who are still in Canada, and they're like, yeah, you should have mentioned this or that. And they're probably right. I just didn't want to go in a political direction. But I'm gonna do that anyways because I just don't give a crap. And I think that it is important and it's true based on the current environment of the country of Canada, my home that I that I called the place that I called home for more than 30 years. So, number one on that list, and this is in no particular order, but I will talk about the political the political ambiance of the country. Now, just to give you a an idea of where I'm coming from, I voted liberal pretty much 99% of the time, most of my life, until I was from when I was able to start voting. And the last time that I ever voted liberal was in 2015 for the current Prime Minister Trudeau. Now, I'm not going to sit here and attack a person, but what I will do is I will critique the person who is doing the job of Prime Minister. And just to give you an idea, he has made me not want to vote liberal for the rest of my life. I can still vote technically from abroad, but I will not be voting for liberal for the rest of my life. If I vote the next time, I'm going to pick some other party or I'm just not going to vote. Now, you may say, "Oh well, why did you vote liberal your whole life?" Things have changed. And actually it wasn't up until even after his first election win. It wasn't even a problem in the beginning. But the main problems I have is the fact that there's been scandal after scandal. You got the AgaCon scandal. You got the me scandal. There's several other ones that I could go on with, and it's just he's been an embarrassment for Canada. He's a guy who is supposed to be protector of the country and to do the right decisions. The economy has really tanked, and sure, you could say COVID or whatever you want to, whatever you think about that may have caused that, but I don't think that that's just the only reason. From a guy who says that the budget will balance itself, that really doesn't instill confidence in me and many other voters. And currently, I'm in towards the end of May of 2024, and he has got terrible poll numbers. Many people dislike him. You can say whatever you want about him as a person, but I always just go for the job that the person is doing, the title. I'm not going to attack a person personally. I could go talk about things that are also sketchy on the side, but I'll save that maybe for another video. Now, politically wise, I'll give an example of one other thing why I decided never to vote liberal again. And you could say, oh, well, it's the leader. Now, the party also has a duty to screen rate the leadership of the party. Now, he's had, 7 years in office, and it's just been disastrous. I supported the truckers rally, whether you agree with that or not. I did support them. Only the fact that they had the right to protest. There was none of the nonsense that CBC and many other corporations were spewing, much less what the Prime Minister was also talking about before he basically ran away from Ottawa. I don't want to get too much more into it, but it's just the way that he treated those people. There was no treating them as equal Canadians. Do you know what I mean? Just because they don't vote for his party or voted for him. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Other point about the government that I wanted to mention is that this government not to forget about the scandals that the Trudeau government has been a part of, but all of these bills that they, all of these bills that they're trying to pass through, like C-63, I believe it is, a online harms bill or something like that. But it seems more like anybody who even states an opinion, like I did, that I'm going to in this video, could face jail time, could be prosecuted. How is that right? Look, I get it. If you slander somebody, or if you do like serious hate crimes, that's what the police are there for. That's what, why should we, you're gonna throw someone in jail for, like, thought police? That's insane. So I need more sanity back in government in Canada. I need sanity back in Canada in general. That's very disturbing, I think it's Bill C-63 or something like that. So they passed another bill not that long ago where Canadians can't even see the news from the United States via Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I think they're blocking a lot of information from the US. How is that not, censorship or like a tyranny? You tell me. So that is a big reason why I won't vote Liberal again. Any party at all besides the Liberals that says that they will not censorship Canadians, they will not freeze their bank accounts because they chose to support another group that is not a hate group, by the way. They will have my vote. Anybody who is against nonsense, who is all about being, common sense, they'll have my vote. And that would be probably one of the only reasons that if I was to move back to Canada, is if there was a drastic change, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So Canadian government just continues to march on with their tyranny, and that's another big reason why I can't applaud this government. I cannot support them. So it's just, politically wise, Canada's not at its best place right now. So that's another reason why I left Canada, and I'm sure that's why many of other Canadians are leaving as well. So number 2 on my list is something that probably a lot of you, especially if you live in Toronto, will notice, and that is construction all the time. And this isn't even just recently. Like I've visited twice in the last couple of years, and I've noticed it then. So even though I'm not living there, it's still going on. But I remember even a few years back, before I left Canada, all the time. Like, I get it, things break. Okay, things have to be constructed, but it's just condos going up, road work going on. It's just, I don't know, if you guys drive through Toronto or travel through Toronto, I don't know, maybe other cities it's not so much like that, but Toronto for me, wow, so many road closures, so many diversions when it came to the TTC, just construction that never seems to end. And I know that Toronto has become a condo city, and that's why there's so much. That's another reason why there's so much construction going on. So, but it's very annoying, especially when it's like summertime and you want to be out and enjoy yourself with the few months you have of good weather, and all you hear is da 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 jackhammering. So that's one. It's one little issue, but it's an issue nonetheless. Is construction all the time, everywhere, and it never seems to finish. So So a third one on the list is Canadian society. I sort of touched on this in the first video, but I didn't really go into details, and I didn't really talk too much about it. I didn't make a main point. But in this video, I'm going to say that it's a very strong point as to why I left Canada. And if any of you can relate to this, you can leave a comment. But I believe that many Canadians are very standoffish, very closed, quite, how would I say, what's the word? Very passive aggressive. Now, I've met a lot of people over the years who I've known even very well, and they can come off as pretty passive aggressive. And if you don't know what that means, it's someone who's kind of like they're kind of rude, or the way that they talk to you, but it's in a fake nice way. I don't know. That's the best way I can explain passive aggressive, but they're not totally truthful when something's bothering them, but they'll like make a comment or something like that, like a little jab, something like that. But Canadians are very, very, and I won't say everybody, because that's not the right thing to do, but a lot of people are, especially in Toronto. Now, I will say there's a difference. Montreal, people are very straight up, and they'll tell you about yourself if you've caused a problem or you've said the wrong thing. They've got that European flavor, I guess. But Toronto, man, yeah, it's people are very disgruntled and yeah, very standoffish. I don't like I don't like having to try to be nice to somebody and they end up not being nice to you. It's hard to explain, but I have a lot of situations where I've been in, and it's just where I live now. I like the honesty. If you rub someone the wrong way, or if you've done something in any way, they'll be straight up about it. At least here in South America, and Canadians will beat around the bush, and even Americans. I could probably say the same for Americans, but even Americans will probably be more straight up. But Canadians, I guess, they have that reputation of being too nice. So yeah, I don't know if I made much sense with this topic, but I think if those of you who live in Canada and are somewhat of a social butterfly, or a person who likes to meet people, will probably know what I'm talking about. One thing I want to add to this is making friends also, and I think this ties in really well with society, is that it's very hard to break a group, like enter a group of friends, like a circle of friends. I think people like to keep with their own and don't like to include a new friend within the group. Like if you meet somebody out or whatever, it's very hard to break the ice and make friends really easily. At least I have really close friends over the years, and those are ones that I met from in my 20s. And those ones are what people you keep in your life pretty much for the rest of your life, unless something bad happens. But yeah, making friendships, I find that it's much more difficult in Canada than where I currently live in Brazil. So different society here is way more open, very much straight up, like will tell you, they won't beat around the bush. Whereas in Canada, too much beating around the bush, and very somewhat of a closed society, more so than here, way more than here. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to stay in Canada much longer. So I wanted to add dating on this list. I know that it could possibly be part of the society, and maybe it very well is, but I wanted to sort of do it separately. Dating in Canada, specifically Toronto, was a pain in the ass. Like, I've had girlfriends, I went out with many girls over the years when I was living in Canada, especially in my 20s. I think I met more girls in my 20s and early 30s, around there. But dating was always, it's like girls in Canada, and I'm not saying everybody, not saying all girls, but at least a lot of them that I dealt with were very, like to play games, like to not tell you exactly what they're feeling or thinking or what they think about you, maybe to spare your feelings. I'm not even being bitter here. This is just from experience. And I like straight upness. I like, if you're not interested, okay, just say it. If you just want a one night stand, just say it. I want straight up people. I like dating girls who will just be honest, no games. And I'll give an example. Here in Brazil, dating is not a chore at all. Like, you're gonna meet the odd one where it's like that, but wow, dating is incredible here. And I've met a lot of guys here from the US, and they'll say the same thing. There's no head games. It's very cut and dry. There's no beating around the bush here. Girls here will tell you whether they like you pretty much right away. Once they've met you, if they like you, they will not be shy about it. They're very caring. They like to display public displays of affection. Well, it's very big here, and there's no like qualms about it at all. There's no qualms about it at all. Even sexual life, there's no hang-ups about sex here. Just to get that out of the way, it's I don't know. It's night and day. Canada and Brazil, night and day when it comes to dating. I have met some nice girls in Canada, but it's absolutely night and day. So I can't really say much more about that, other than, yeah. Oh, one other little thing. I'll give you an example. If you date a girl here, you can send them a message, you can call them. If you don't send them a message practically like right away or very soon, or at least call them or whatever, the girl here will think that you don't like her, and it'll be very like it's abnormal to not send a message and relay the fact that you like them, that you had a good time or whatever. Whereas in Canada, wow, if you send a message, it means that you're like desperate, or you're trying too hard or whatever. And I've gone through that, so I know that it's true. We're here, it's just like there's nothing wrong with it. It's the norm. So it's much better to date here. That's another reason why I left Canada for sure. So number 5 on the list is immigration in Canada. Now, I can't be against immigration, and I never would be. I have a father who immigrated from Portugal to Canada, so I am a product of immigration. Most of us are. I believe that Canada is allowing way too many people at a super fast-paced rate, that the country cannot keep up with. Infrastructure-wise, economically, it just can't. And I'll get into the reasons why. Now, and I will also mention that the government is also screwing some of these international students as well, but I'll get to that at the end. Now, Canada is basically all situated on the border of the US. Most of the people live on the border that is shared with the United States. And so many of the cities are located along the border that is shared with the United States. And when immigrants come from wherever, most of them, I guess, are coming from Philippines, China, India, a few other countries. They don't want to go to the smaller cities, smaller towns, right? Everybody pretty much wants to go where it's happening. Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Not even Edmonton, Calgary, a lot of these people want to go there. Now, the reason for that is things are happening, employment opportunities as well. I believe that may be the reason. Now, these cities are not able to withstand the influx of all these people. I think Canada is trying to allow 500,000 every year now. I'm not even sure, but from what I understand, that's what the government of Canada, the Trudeau government, wants to allow. I don't know that that's the exact number, but that's what I've heard. 500,000 or something like 1 million something over the next couple of years. That's a lot of people. Now, the reason why I think there's too much immigration going on at this current time is the fact that everyday Canadians don't even have enough. There's housing market is ridiculous. The cost of housing is ridiculous. There aren't enough rental places being built as well to accommodate all these people. It's just like cramming all these people into a smaller, like a place that just can't handle it. And a lot of these immigrants will come and they'll live in like a 1-bedroom, 5 people at a time, 5 people in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. And I get it, it's to save money, and they're used to being crammed, I guess. I don't know. I'm not, don't think that I'm like trying to paint these people as bad people. They're just trying to do the best for them. They're trying to have an opportunity. But I don't believe that the infrastructure is in place to receive this many people. I was in Toronto last year, which would be 2023. And man, I felt like it was a much fuller city, like packed. There was more, the metro system couldn't handle the amount of people. It was packed at more than usual. And I had taken the subway system for many years to get to work. So that's a big difference. And what I was going to mention about the international students being screwed is the fact that the Canadian government is promising them all these things, and a lot of them are ended up going back to their country. They aren't getting what they were promised. They're realizing that, wow, Canada's not exactly what I thought it was. I think that it's really sad that the government doesn't help everyday Canadians try to get on their feet and instead keep letting more immigrants into the country. And I guess they also want to have people to do, low paying jobs. That's just the reality. Because I don't know if it's a lot of Canadians don't want to do the jobs, or I have no idea. But the immigration situation is very complicated, and yeah, it's just causing more economic harm when you don't have the right things in place. Like I mentioned, enough housing for everybody. There's just not enough housing for everybody. And number 6 on the list, which is a very serious problem that's going on in Canada, is homelessness, mental health, as well as drug users. I'll bunch that into one category because I just think that not every homeless person obviously is a drug user or has mental illness, but these are all serious issues. Now, I've never seen, and I remember growing up in the 90s in Toronto, and I did not see that many homeless people back then. And I remember all the times I went out around the city as a teenager and this and that. It's terribly bad right now. And I'm sure around the world, everywhere's got this, including where I currently live. It's pretty bad here too. But I never imagined that Canada would become so bad, when it comes to homelessness, mental health issues, and drug problems, drug addicts. And the government does nothing. They in fact try to do this program where they can legally take drugs or something. I don't even know. They're trying to decriminalize it. They're trying to do what they did in Portugal, where even though the population difference is massive, but they're trying to basically allow these people to do their drugs in a safe location, whether that's I think it got recently squashed. It was supposed to be a pilot project, I think, in Vancouver or something. But I think it's really sad what's going on. I was in Toronto last year, 2023, and there's encampments everywhere. I don't know, a lot of people who are talking to themselves, walking down the streets, especially in the downtown of Toronto. It really is an epidemic of massive proportions. I've never seen this ever. I know here in Brazil they've got almost the same, but more people here, so it's probably a bit worse. But my God, I don't know what the answer is. I think just, how do you help these people? How do you help homeless people when a lot of them don't even want to be in the shelters? So that this may not be exactly a reason why I left Canada, because it's pretty much everywhere you go, but I will mention it as a reason, something to consider before going to Canada, thinking that it doesn't have these problems when it does. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think the government needs to do more, needs to find ways to help these people. I don't know what the answers are. One thing is for sure, not giving more drugs to them is definitely going to be better than giving them drugs. Anyway, I'll go on to the last topic now. And last but not least on my list is woke culture or cancel culture. But I'm going to focus more on woke culture. Now, you can believe whatever you want. You can, think that it's all about inclusivity and things like that. But hell, Canada has really, engulfed itself and embraced itself in this woke culture. I'm not homophobic. I'm not against anybody who is something else, whatever they want to be, but it's not going to be imposed on the regular society, okay? It's just, I remember it kept getting thrown in my face anywhere I went in Toronto. It's just, and they always dub it as like inclusivity and, you know, man, like, how are we normalizing guys who are wearing fake tits and go to work at school with students, with young people? Like, that's insane territory. I know that some people do identify as a woman who was born a man, and vice versa, and whatever. But like, keep that to keep that to yourself, and live your life. No one's gonna do it. No one's gonna care. And then they're trying to like change everything and have like these gender neutral bathrooms and things like that. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that stuff. I don't. And Canada's been like on the forefront of all of this. And I wasn't even going to include this in the video because people are going to probably think I'm like bashing them. I'm really not. I don't hate these people. I don't have anything. I just don't. I don't believe that it should be pushed on us, and I don't believe that society should be completely transformed to how do you call it, to help a small percentage, very small percentage of the population, um, to feel included in everything else. Like, I just don't get it. The only solution I can think of is like, you have a men's washroom, you have a women's washroom, and then have a third washroom. Probably a lot of places are not going to want to build a third washroom, but that's probably the best solution when it comes to the bathroom thing for anybody who identifies as the opposite gender. I don't know. It's very, very, very strange. And our like government basically is going out there parading about it and advertising about it. I have a gay friend, and even he thinks it's a little too much. When you have a gay man who's probably a bit older than I am and is against where it's like it's overkill now. And that's just, a lot of people believe that. I don't know. Canada seems to be really on a downfall when it comes to that. And I will talk about the cancel culture where people were going after others because of stuff they said in the past or a joke that offended somebody or whatever. And specifically comedians. Don't go after why are you going after comedians? It's a damn joke, you know? And I heard one comedian say, I think he's from England, he's like, oh, I think it goes, so I'm sorry. And it was like a sarcastic sorry. And then they go, you didn't really mean that. And he goes, oh, so I guess you can say things without meaning them, you know? It's just, I can't deal with all this nonsense. I really can't. It's just gone way too overboard, and that is one of the reasons I left Canada. Here, it's not shoved in your face. It isn't like paraded everywhere. People, I think, just don't want to deal with the nonsense. I think really that's what it comes down to. Society. I believe we have to protect the nuclear family. I still think that there's more people believe in that than they do this other stuff, like the woke stuff and whatever. It's just gotten so ridiculous. And there's nothing more I can say about it other than I just don't like it being shoved down my throat and trying to change society when they are the minority. They can still be part of society. I don't, and they don't need my permission, but I'm just saying I don't mind it. I don't care. Like, do what you want to do in your life. But I don't want it being imposed on me. That's all. So, sorry, maybe that was a bit of a rant, but I had to get it out. Anyways, let me know what you think about my reasons for part 2 of why I left Canada. And maybe you can relate to some of these points. I don't know. Closing comments. The only way that I would probably move back to Canada, and it's a very, very, narrow possibility, is this all of these things that I talked about, especially the important ones that I wouldn't say immigration, as long as they fix the infrastructure, because immigration is still important, but maybe slow it down. But everything else, if it was to improve drastically, like a 180, that would be the only reason that I would ever probably move back to Canada. So, Thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully I'll be visiting Canada very soon. Just to visit family, that's all. All right, take care. Bye bye.